Once upon a time, far below the shimmering waves of the deep blue sea, in the kingdom of Seaborn, there lived a mermaid named Eva. She was known throughout the ocean for her breathtaking beauty, her gentle nature, and the golden shimmer of her tail that caught every ray of light. Her laughter sounded like the bells of morning, and her voice could calm even the wildest storm. Many said she was the heart of Seaborn itself, but not all hearts adored her. Three mermaids, Lysira, Marine, and Vanya, envied her deeply. They whispered among themselves whenever she passed. "Look at her," Lysira said one morning, her tone sharp. "Everyone bows to her as if she's the queen of the sea." "She acts humble," Vanya sneered. "Maybe," Marine murmured, "but everyone loves her anyway." Even the royal guard stopped to watch her beauty. They glared at Eva from afar as she helped a group of young mermaids gather seashells for their music lessons, her golden tail glinting through the coral light. Eva had no idea of their bitterness. She lived with her parents, Zako and Nerissa, in a small coral home at the edge of the kingdom. They were poor, their walls cracked, their furniture worn smooth by time. Still, there was love in that little home, love and laughter, even when there was no food. "Mother," Eva said one evening, laying a few pearls on the table, "I helped the royal choir today. They gave me these pearls in thanks. We can trade them for food." Nerissa smiled weakly. "You always find light even in dark waters, my daughter." Her father sighed. "If only beauty could buy us more than a meal." That night they ate seaweed soup and smiled through their hunger. But in their hearts, both parents wished for a miracle. The next morning a messenger came, a strange sight, riding a silver seahorse and carrying a chest of treasure. He announced the arrival of Tharos, an old but powerful merman from a faraway kingdom. His name alone made whispers ripple through Seaborn. When Tharos entered their home, his presence filled it like a shadow. His hair was gray as the deep current, his eyes cold, and his robe glittered with gold threads. "Zako," he said, his voice deep and commanding, "I have heard of your daughter, Eva. I have come to ask for her hand in marriage." Zako froze, his eyes wide. "Marriage?" "To my daughter," Tharos smiled faintly. "If you agree, you shall never know hunger again. You will have gold, silk, and all the treasures of the sea." He opened his bag, pearls, coins, sea jewels, shining in the dim light. Zako's eyes burned with desire. "Give me 2 days," he said quickly. "I must discuss with my wife." That night he told Nerissa everything. "What?" she gasped. "He is old enough to be her grandfather." "But think, Nerissa," Zako said. "We will never starve again. We can rebuild our home. Eva will live in luxury." "No, my husband, our daughter will not marry that merman because she will live in misery," Nerissa cried. "Do you not see his eyes? They are cold as death." Yet when she looked at the gold, her voice softened. "Maybe, just maybe, this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe he will treat her kindly." The next day, Eva returned home. Her mother's face was pale. Her father called her to sit down. "Eva," he began gently, "a great merman named Tharos has asked for your hand in marriage." Eva blinked, unsure she heard right. "My hand? For marriage?" she asked. "Yes," her father replied. "He is powerful. He can lift us from poverty. We will never suffer again." Eva stared at him. "Father, you are not serious, are you?" Her mother whispered. "He is very rich, Eva. You will live in comfort. Think of us, your poor parents." Eva's voice trembled. "So you both want to sell me to an old merman?" "Eva," Zako snapped, "do not speak that way." "I will speak how I wish," she shouted, with tears in her eyes. "You would trade your daughter for gold, for a house, for food." "Enough," Zako roared. "You will marry him, and that is final." "Never," Eva cried. I will rather drown in the Black Sea than live as his wife. Then you are no longer my daughter, Zacco thundered. You bring shame to this family. Eva's heart shattered. She fled into the night, her tears mixing with the salt of the sea. She swam until she found her 3 friends, Selena, Arden, and Nida, in the coral gardens. They were loyal and kind, unlike the jealous mermaids who mocked her. What is wrong? Selena asked, swimming close. My father wants me to marry an old merman, Eva sobbed. He wants to sell me for gold. Arden clenched her fists. That is cruel. You must run away, Eva. I can't, Eva whispered. My mother would die of grief if I run away. Nida frowned. Then what will you do? I don't know, Eva said, weeping softly. I feel trapped. Whatever happens, Selena said, taking her hand, you are not alone. Eva smiled weakly, but her heart felt heavy. She returned home quietly, hoping her father had cooled his anger. Nerissa came into her room soon after, her eyes swollen from crying. Eva, she said softly, please, my daughter, just do this for us. We have suffered enough. Mother, don't ask me that, Eva whispered. You know he is old, and he must have a wife and children. Tears rolled down Nerissa's cheeks. I can't bear to see your father disown you. He said if you don't marry the old merman, he will disown you and throw you out of this house. Please, my daughter. Eva's chest ached. I will do it, she said finally. I will marry Tharos. I don't want father to throw me out, she said through her tears. Nerissa broke down in relief, hugging her daughter tightly. Thank you, my child. One day you will understand. The next morning, Eva told her father, I will marry him. Zacco smiled, proud and satisfied. You have made the right choice, my daughter. Eva looked away, her eyes cold. If you say so, father. 2 weeks later, the Sea Kingdom celebrated a grand wedding. Pearls hung like stars, the choir sang, and the old merman Tharos took Eva's trembling hand before the crowd. Everyone cheered, but inside her heart, Eva was dying. When she left her home, her mother cried. Her father smiled, counting his gold. As Tharos's carriage of shells carried her away, Eva whispered to herself, Goodbye, mother. Goodbye, Seaborn. Goodbye, freedom. And the sea swallowed her tears. The journey to Tharos's kingdom was long and silent. Eva sat quietly beside the old merman, her hands trembling. He kept stealing glances at her, his expression unreadable. You will like my home, Tharos said at last, breaking the silence. It's large, comfortable, and filled with everything you could ever want. Eva forced a faint smile. As long as I am allowed peace, I will be fine. He chuckled, a low sound that made her uneasy. Peace? My dear, peace is for those who have no responsibilities. A wife of mine will not live idly. She looked at him carefully. And what kind of responsibilities, my lord? He didn't answer. He only smiled, and that smile made her heart grow cold. When they arrived, Eva gasped softly. The mansion was massive, built from black coral and lined with golden seaweed. Guards swam at every gate, servants moved like shadows. Yet, for all its beauty, the place felt cold and dead, like a shell without a soul. As they swam through the grand hall, Eva saw other mermaids moving silently. They are beautiful with dull eyes. None looked at her directly. Are they your daughters? Eva asked quietly. Tharos smiled. They are my wives. Her chest tightened. Your wives? All of them? Yes. I have taken many wives. You are not the first, Eva. But you said— I said, he interrupted smoothly, that you would live in comfort. And you will. He gestured for a guard. Show her to her chamber. She needs rest. Tomorrow she will begin her duties. Duties? Eva asked with confusion, but he had already turned away. The guard led her through long halls lit by glowing shells. When she entered her chamber, the door locked behind her. It was beautiful, filled with jewels, silk, and perfumes, but it felt like a cage. She sat on the pearl bed, holding her hands together. "What have I done?" she whispered. "Mother, father, what have you done to me?" That night she could not sleep. She heard cries echoing faintly through the walls, the voices of other mermaids, broken, sorrowful. Morning came with dread. A servant entered silently and handed her a fine robe. "Mistress, Lord Tharos requests your presence." Eva followed the servant down to a grand hall, where Tharos waited with 3 other rich mermen. They stared at her as if she were treasure. Tharos smiled at her. "You will lay with our guests tonight." "I don't understand," she whispered. He raised a brow. "Do not embarrass me." One of the mermen laughed. "She is new, Tharos. Give her time." Tharos's tone turned cold. She must obey. That night, Eva slept with the 3 mermen. She was trembling at first, but slowly melting into sorrow. When they finished, Tharos leaned close to her ear and said softly, "You see? You were made to please my guests. Do not resist your purpose." Tears welled in her eyes. "I am not your slave," he laughed quietly. "You are my wife." "That is the same thing all my wives do here." Days turned into weeks. Eva discovered the truth of her nightmare. Tharos used his wives to charm and entertain powerful mermen, trading their beauty and company for wealth and favors. If any wife refused, she disappeared, never to be seen again. Eva tried to stay silent, obeying only to survive, but each night she wept. "I hate you, father," she whispered into the dark. "You sold me to a monster." Months passed. Tharos grew harsher. He would call her at any hour to sleep with different guests. Once, when she refused, he gripped her arm tightly, his nails biting her skin. "You must obey me, or I will end your life the way I ended the lives of other mermaids who refused to obey," he said coldly. Eva met his gaze with fire. "You may own my body, but never my soul." He laughed. "We shall see." 7 months later, Eva's parents sat in their dim home. The gold Tharos gave them had long been spent, and no new treasures came. Nerissa's eyes were hollow with worry. "Zako," she said softly, "why hasn't he sent for us? Why hasn't Eva visited us since she got married to that merman?" Zako frowned. "Maybe they are busy. He is a rich merman. Such merfolk forget things easily." "Forget?" she whispered, trembling. "You sold her to that merman, and now she's gone, and you say he forgot. How can he forget his in-laws?" Zako slammed his hand on the table. "Enough, woman. I did what was right for us." Tears filled her eyes. "You did what was right for yourself. You destroyed your daughter's life." He looked away, silent. At last, they decided to visit Tharos's kingdom. When they arrived, guards blocked their way. "We are Lord Tharos's in-laws," Zako said angrily. One guard sneered. "You are not the only ones." "What do you mean?" Nerissa cried. "Leave," the guard ordered. "No in-laws are allowed to enter this compound." They returned home, broken. Nerissa wept for days, and Zako sat in silence, guilt growing heavy in his chest. Few days later, as the news speculated in the village, one morning a young merman overheard some merfolk whispering of Eva, the girl that got married to Tharos, and since then no one had heard from her, including her parents. One evening, as Zako and Nerissa sat in front of their home, the young merman approached them. He had kind eyes and carried a silver trident. "My name is Kyle," he said. "I overheard your troubles. You say your daughter is married to Tharos?" Nerissa nodded quickly. "Yes, her name is Eva." Kyle's expression darkened. "Then she is in grave danger. I have heard stories of Tharos's wives, what he does to them." "Please," Nerissa begged, grabbing his hand. "Help us. Bring her home. We will do anything. Kale nodded. I will try. But if he finds out, he will kill us all. Zako gave him Eva's photo. Please find her. Tell her I am sorry. Kyle took the photo. I will bring her back or die trying. The next morning, Kale disguised himself as a wealthy trader and swam to Tharos's mansion. The guards recognized his wealth and let him in. Tharos greeted him warmly. Ah, a new customer. What do you seek, my friend? Kale smiled calmly. I seek a beautiful mermaid. They say no one in the sea can match the sweetness of your wives. Tharos grinned. Then you have come to the right place. He called for Eva. When she appeared, Kyle's heart nearly stopped. She was even more beautiful than he imagined, but her eyes were hollow. This one, Tharos said proudly, is my newest jewel. Her name is Eva. Kale forced a smile. She looked beautiful. When Tharos left them alone, Kyle went inside the room. Kale whispered, Eva, listen carefully. I came from your parents. They sent me to save you. Eva froze, tears instantly spilling from her eyes. My parents. They still remember me. They do, he said softly. They regret everything. Eva's hands trembled. You must be careful. If he finds out, there will be trouble. I know, Kale said. Pretend nothing happened. I will return tomorrow with a plan. Eva nodded quickly, whispering, Please don't let him hurt you. That night, Eva prayed silently to the ocean itself. If there is mercy in the sea, let tomorrow bring me hope. The next day came slower than any day before. Eva could barely sleep, her heart pounding with both fear and hope. She wondered if Kyle would return, or if Tharos had already discovered the truth. She stared out through the window, whispering to herself, Please, let him be safe. Late that evening, Tharos hosted another feast. Mermen from distant kingdoms came, laughing loudly, the sound echoing through the coral halls. Eva sat silently beside him, her face empty, and though her heart screamed. Suddenly, a familiar voice spoke from the entrance. My lord Tharos, Kale said, disguised once again in fine robes and carrying a heavy chest of coins. I have returned for business. Tharos smiled greedily. Ah, the generous merchant. Welcome back. Did you enjoy your time yesterday? Kyle bowed slightly. Indeed, my lord. Your wives are unmatched, but one of them captured my soul. I wish to take her to my home as my personal entertainer. I will pay 10 times her worth. Tharos laughed. You speak as if beauty can be owned. Kale smiled faintly. In trade, everything has a price. Tharos leaned back, intrigued. Which of my wives? Eva, Kale said firmly. Tharos's eyes narrowed. Eva? You have only met her once. Kyle kept his calm. Once was enough. She is so sweet than any mermaid I have ever seen. The old merman studied him carefully. 10 times, you said? 10 times, Kyle repeated, dropping a bag of gold coins that glittered brighter than any shell. Greed won. Tharos's suspicion faded as his eyes gleamed at the gold. Very well. She owe yours for a while, but bring her back when I call. Of course, Kale said, bowing. Eva stood quietly beside Tharos, her pulse racing. She dared not meet Kale's gaze, but when he offered his hand to her, her fingers trembled as they touched his. As they swam out of the dark palace, Kale whispered softly, Stay close. Don't look back. Eva nodded. The water outside felt cold, but for the first time in months she could breathe. Behind them, Tharos ordered one of his guards to follow. Watch them, he said coldly. If they try anything foolish, kill them both. Kyle had expected this. One of his men, hidden behind the coral ridge, intercepted the guard silently. A few bubbles rose, and the sea swallowed the secret. As Eva and Kyle reached the outskirts of Seabourn, she whispered, He will come after us. Then we will be ready, Kyle said. But first we must go to your parents. When they arrived, Nerissa burst into tears the moment she saw Eva. My child, she cried, pulling her into her arms. I thought I will never see you again. Eva clung to her, weeping. Mother, I missed you so much. Zacco stood behind them, silent and ashamed. Eva turned slowly toward him. You sold me, she said, her voice trembling. You sold me to that monster. Zacco lowered his gaze. I thought I was helping us, Eva. I thought it would save you. Save me, Eva shouted. You sent me to live in a prison. You knew nothing about saving me. Eva, Nerissa whispered, holding her back. Please don't let anger consume you. But Eva's eyes were hard. I will never forgive him. Not in this life, not in the next. Cale stepped forward, his voice gentle but firm. We don't have time for tears. Tharos will come for her. We must end him. Zacco looked up. End him? How? Cale's eyes darkened. With poison. Nerissa gasped. Poison? Yes, Cale said quietly. He will come here pretending to search for his wife. When he does, offer him wine. Mix in this, he handed her a small shell filled with clear liquid. One sip, and the sea will take him forever. Nerissa's hands shook. I have never killed anyone. Kyle looked at her solemnly. You won't be killing an innocent merman. You will be freeing your daughter, because if you don't, he will end all of us. That night, the family waited. Kyle took Eva to his house, hiding her from Tharos. It didn't take long. Tharos arrived at Eva's house, his robes fluttering in the current. His voice was low and dangerous. Where is she? He demanded. Nerissa forced a trembling smile. Where is who, my in-law? You must be tired. Let me get you some wine. You mean Eva is not here? He asked. No, my in-law. Is she missing? Zacco replied. No, she is not missing. I just want to know if came here, Tharos said in pretense. Sit down, my in-law. Let me offer you wine. You cannot go without tasting anything, said Nerissa. He grunted. Fine. Be fast about it. I want to go home. Nerissa poured the drink, her hands shaking as she added the poison, and handed him the shell cup. It's a rare vintage from the deep east, Tharos smirked. I like rare things. He took the cup and drank. Moments later, his smile faded. He touched his chest. What? What is this? Nerissa stepped back, her heart pounding. Your punishment. She whispered. Tharos gasped, his body shaking violently. You fools, do you know who I am? Yes, I do. You are the monster who thought he could destroy my daughter. Tharos tried to lunge toward her, but his strength failed. He collapsed, his body turning pale as the poison took hold. His last words gurgled through the water. You will regret this. Then silence. The sea grew still, and the current carried his lifeless form away into the abyss. When Kyle and Eva returned to her parents' house, she closed her eyes, tears running down her face. It is over, she whispered. Kyle swam to her side, taking her hand gently. It is over. You are free now. She turned to Kyle. I thought I will never see the light again. Thank you for saving me. You are welcome, he said softly. From now on, you will never face the dark again. Nerissa fell to her knees, crying silently. Zacco stood apart, guilt consuming him. Eva turned to him, her voice cold but quiet. I will live my life, father, she said, but I will never forgive you. He bowed his head. I deserve that. Kyle wrapped his arm around Eva. Let's leave this place. Together they swam toward the horizon, leaving the ruins of their pain behind. In time, Eva and Kyle married in a quiet ceremony by the crystal reefs. No gold, no riches, just love, peace, and the sound of the sea singing for them. Eva found laughter again, though her eyes carried sorrow that never truly faded. Years later, when she held her newborn daughter in her arms, Kale whispered, "You look happy. I am happy too." Eva smiled softly. "I am. But happiness doesn't erase pain. It just teaches you to live with it." He kissed her forehead gently. "Then let me carry your pain with you." And so they lived, bound by love. They lived peacefully, raising their daughter, Lyria, whose eyes were calm as the morning sun.